Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I offer my humble obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting Srimad Bhagvatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author of Srimad Bhagvatam. Nashtu prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the classes on Srimad Bhagvatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the Personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Guruve Gaurachandraye Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. So, thank you so much, dear Vaishnavas, for joining. We are reading Granth Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 6. Prahlad instructs his demoniac schoolmates. So, we read the first verse of this chapter yesterday, where Prahlad Maharaj is saying that one must begin the process of bhakti from a very tender age, at the age of 5 or even before. Because the human form of life is very, very rare. We don't know what's going to come tomorrow. So we must start early, because old habits die hard and old age is very difficult. So let's continue with the next verse, text 2. Yatha hi purushasyeha Vishnu pada upasarpanam Yad esha sarva bhutanam priya atmeshvara suhrit. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The human form of life affords one a chance to return home, back to Godhead. Therefore, every living entity, especially in the human form of life, must engage in devotional service to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. This devotional service is natural because Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the most beloved, the master of the soul, and the well-wisher of all other living beings. Purport. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita 5.29, Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam yatva mam shantim richati. The sages, knowing me as the ultimate purpose of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living beings, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Simply by understanding these three facts, that the Supreme Lord Vishnu is the proprietor of the entire creation and He is the best well-wishing friend of all living entities, and that He is the supreme enjoyer of everything, one becomes peaceful and happy. For this transcendental happiness, the living entity has wandered throughout the universe in different forms of life and different planetary systems, but because he has forgotten his intimate relationship with Vishnu, he has merely suffered life after life. Therefore, the educational system in the human form of life should be so perfect that one will understand his intimate relationship with God or Vishnu. Every living entity has an intimate relationship with God. One should therefore glorify the Lord in the adoration of the Shantaras, or revive his eternal relationship with Vishnu as a servant in Dasya Ras, a friend in Sakhya Ras, a parent in the Vatsalya Ras, or a conjugal lover in the Madhurya Ras. All these relationships are on the platform of love. Vishnu is the center of love for everyone, and therefore the duty of everyone is to engage in the loving service of the Lord, as stated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavatam 3.25.38. Yesham aham priya atma sutascha sakha guru suhrido daivam ishtam. In any form of life, we are related with Vishnu, who is the most beloved, the super soul, son, friend, and guru. Our eternal relationship with God can be revived in the human form of life and should be the goal of education. Indeed, this is the perfection of life and the perfection of education. Hare Krishna. So, again, Prahlad Maharaj is speaking this. The teachers have gone at their home to do some household stuff. And we read before in the last chapter how he was speaking in very, very kind words, smiling, and in very sweet words he was addressing this. And the children are less inclined or to worldly matters, so they are like a sponge. Whatever they are given, they will absorb very fast because they are free from mala or dirt. Their buddhi is not as polluted as the adults. Sorry to say that, but that's the truth. They are more simple. They are more into this I, me, and mine, because they just depend on parents. They don't worry, will I get food, will I get car, will I get clothes. They just depend on parents. So it's natural for them. And Prahlad Maharaj is speaking that what is real education? The real education is to revive our relationship with Krishna. Because this human form of life, my dear friends, this human form of life is the chance. It's like the favorable boat which can help us to cross over the ocean of that material existence. And Guru is that captain of that boat who helps us to engage in the process of bhakti. So we have read this verse multiple times, and Prabhupada quotes this, that Guru is the captain and human life is like that boat with which we can we have received a chance to go back home, provided we use it in the right purpose. If we don't use it in the right purpose, if we don't run as per the directions of the expert captain, and we don't know how to cross the ocean, we don't let the Guru navigate us, then it is very difficult. But if we follow the instructions of Guru and Krishna and understand three things, Prabhupada is saying, you have to understand three things. That Krishna is our best well-wisher. He is Suhrida Sarva Bhutanam, and that is set for pure devotees also, or the spiritual master also. So he will never want, a true, genuine well-wisher will never want bad for us. And not only that, he is the supreme proprietor. Imagine that our best friend is the master of everything. Everything belongs to him. He wants our welfare, and imagine our connection. If someone has connection with, let's say, the Prime Minister, that person would feel, oh, I have connection with Prime Minister. I can get anything done. I can ask him to give me any job. I can ask him to do anything for me. He's my very close friend. So, but often we forget that our best friend is Krishna. And thousands and millions of prime ministers and demigods who are the bigger prime ministers of bigger planets bend down before him. Even Brahma, thousands of Brahmas bend down in the Brahma Vimohan Leela. Not to speak of the so-called prime ministers of this tiny country. So he's the supreme proprietor, he's the best well-wisher, and we are eternal servant, so our duty is to serve him, because he is the supreme enjoyer. We are not the enjoyer. He is the complete Purusha. We are the Prakriti. We are meant for his enjoyment. The enjoyment of the servant lies in the service of the master. The example given is like, let's say, a driver is running a nice car because the car belongs to the master, and it's a nice, comfortable car. So when the master says turn on the air conditioning, it's not that the driver is in the heat. When the master says turn on the music, when the master is hearing the nice music, naturally, by serving the senses of the master of the senses, our senses also get purified. And the famous example, which is in Chandan Yatra, when devotees apply Chandan, or when devotees apply oil to the body of the Lord, their hands and their fingers are also so fragrant. And we can all experience that when we glorify Krishna in Kirtan, or through reading and hearing, we feel so happy. But when we are watching something mundane, which is polluting our consciousness, we think I'm enjoying, but actually we suffer. So the real enjoyment lies in serving the supreme enjoyer, that's Krishna. And that is a formula for happy. Prabhupada, that's the universal peace formula. That's the universal brotherhood formula, which Prabhupada quotes this verse often, Bhagavad Gita 5.29. So this is the real education. That's what Prahlad Maharaj is teaching his friends. That should be the goal of the education. To rekindle, to revive our relationship with God. If that education does not help to do that, then it's Shrama eva hi kevalam. It's futile. Any other comments or questions? Okay, let's read the next one. Someone who didn't read yesterday would like to read, please.
Yeah, I can read, Prabhu. Hare Krishna devotees, text 3. Sukham Aindriyakam Daitya Teha Yogena Dehinam Sarvatra Labhayate Daivat Yata Dukkham Ait Nata. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Prahlad Maharaj continued, my dear friends, born of demoniac families, the happiness perceived with reference to the sense objects by contact with the body can be obtained in any form of life, according to one's past fruitive activities. Such happiness is automatically obtained without endeavor, just as we obtain distress. Purport. In the material world, in any form of life, there is some so-called happiness and so-called distress. No one invites distress in order to suffer, but still it comes. Similarly, even if we do not endeavor to obtain the advantages of material happiness, we shall obtain them automatically. This happiness and distress are obtainable in any form of life without endeavor. Thus, there is no need to waste time, energy fighting against distress or working very hard for happiness. Our only business in the human form of life should be to revive our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus become qualified to return home, back to Godhead. Material happiness and distress come as soon as we accept a material body, regardless of what form. We cannot avoid such happiness and distress under any circumstances. The best use of human life, therefore, lies in reviving our relationship with the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Hare Krishna. So this This again, very nice translation and purport, profound words from Prahlad Maharaj for someone who is very young. He's so well educated in all the spiritual activities that one should be performing. He's instructing his dear friends born of demoniac families, sons of demons and children of demons. So basically this purport is saying that happiness and distress, and we have seen this in Bhagavad Gita also, it comes up, that these are all temporary and illusionary. So, yeah, we get temporary happiness, maybe by going to a movie or watching some sports, but all that lasts only for a little while, and then what? And similarly, same thing with distress, and we are going through it right now, and it's really distressful what's happening through the whole world, but this also will pass, and we have to take it in stride and do the best we can. So people get caught up in this. So what they're saying is that we should remain equipoised, that we should not be chasing happiness, nor totally overcome by distress. Instead, we should be spending our time trying to revive a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the more of that we do through chanting and so many other means, then our mind becomes more focused on that goal. Thank you, Prabhu. Back to you.
Thank you so much. Again, really very important words. So the happiness, the so-called happiness, which is in reference to Indriya. That means the wealth, the name, fame, the disease. So all these material calculations are pretty much fixed. How much one will earn, where one will live, how many years one will live, whether it is 50 years or 70 years or 100 years. Hare Krishna. Yeah, can please keep your phones on mute when you're not speaking. That would be very helpful. So, who sarvatra labhyate daivad. Deva means by the superior arrangement. Krishna is given, the prakriti to control based on the karmic reactions. Everyone is getting the fruit. And we have all seen that, and we discussed when Hiranyakashipu was also speaking the same philosophy. Sometimes a person who is very little educated, like fifth grade pass, and that person is a multi-billionaire. So many examples we may know. And sometimes there could be some PhD, but still unemployed. So again and again, this is shown that just my attempt is not the cause of my happiness or distress. It is the higher arrangement. Same, I was reading some time back, a person 100 years old, and he was very sick, very little immunity. And in the peak of the city where this corona thing is going on, but he was saved. We read that sometimes the best of the doctors, the best of the wealth, the best of the processes cannot save, and sometimes someone without any medicine also gets cured. So that 100-year person who had all the probability to the body to die, but still he was saved. How is this controlled? Through the higher arrangement. So the conclusion is, or the summary is, that doesn't mean we stop doing the needful. We have to do the needful, but the focus of our life should be on things which are specially meant for human form of life. All the other things, like the so-called happiness, the so-called distress, the animal body also gets that. like eating, sleeping, mating, defending. They also do the same things in different ways. Like elephant would eat tons of, bushes or grasses. The tiger would eat a deer, but the concept is same. So what is the business of human form of life? Our only business, Prabhupada is saying, not our one of the businesses, our only business. That means that is the parameter of success. The parameter of success of human form of life is not how much wealth we have earned, how much degrees we have accumulated, how much name, fame, or how much Facebook followers or YouTube followers we have, or how many shlokas we know, or how many. The only parameter is to revive our relationship with Krishna and become qualified to return back home. That means become a pure devotee. The pure devotion, the bhakti, how much we have gathered, that is the parameter of success. So that should always be very, very clear, that my life's success at the end would be, the exam would be this exam, not any other exam. The Yamdutas will not ask how many degrees I have, how many cars I have, how many flats I have, all that stuff. But if we have this parameter in mind and we have attained success there, then it is absolutely success. Because animals are better than humans in any aspect. Like talking about food, the elephants can eat tons of food. Talking about sex life, pigeons can have sex up to 300 times in a day. Can humans do it? No, they'll die. Talking about sleep, human beings are so deprived of sleep, they take sleeping pills and this and that. So much stress, so much anxiety. Polar bear, they sleep for 6 months, no anxiety. No one, their boss doesn't disturb them and say, hey, you have a deadline. They don't have any office anxiety. They still get food, they still get nice sleep. So in every other aspect, animals are better. But humans, their life success is this. So other things, we just do the needful and understand that we have very little control over there. 99.99% is fixed. Of course, we do our genuine endeavor. Rest is up to Krishna. But the focus should be to develop our relationship. That means bhakti. And that is the best thing. There's nothing better than that. So the best use is to revive our relationship. Any other comments or questions? Okay, let's read the next one. Next 4. Would someone like to read who didn't read yesterday?
I can read, Prabhu.
Please.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to everyone. Text 4. Tat prayaso na kartavyo yata ayuyam param na tatha vidante kshemam mukunda charanam bhujam. Translation and purport by Siva and Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Endeavors merely for sense gratification or material happiness through economic development are not to be performed, or they result only in a loss of time and energy, with no actual profit. If one's endeavors are directed towards Krishna consciousness, one can surely attain the spiritual platform of self-realization. There is no such a benefit from engaging oneself in economic development. Report. We see materialistic person busily engaged in economic development all day and all night, trying to increase their material opulence. But even if we suppose that they get some benefit from such endeavors, that does not solve the real problem of their lives, nor do they know what the real problem of life is. This is due to a lack of spiritual education. Especially in the present age, every man is in the darkness in the bodily conception of life, not knowing everything of the spirit, soul, and its needs, misguided by the blind leaders of society. People consider the body to be everything and they are engaged in trying to keep the body materially comfortable. Such a civilization is condemned because it does not lead humanity towards knowing the real goal of life. People are simply wasting time and valuable gift of a human form because a human being who does not cultivate spiritual life but dies like the cats and dogs is degraded in the next life. From human life, such a person is put into a cycle of continuous birth and death. Thus, one loses the true benefit of human life, which is to be Krishna consciousness and solve life's problem. So, Prabhupada ji is explaining here the real life example here. You being born in the human life, but not taking the disadvantage, surrendering the Lord Krishna, and you will be just, if you are just living your life and just die like cats and dogs, might be get degraded your next life, and you will be continuously into the birth and death, this cycle. And this is the reality. I am also included in that, and pretty much most of the time has been spent into the what to do, how we're going to live, how much we're going to earn, what is the next step, how we're going to survive after retirement, where we will be going, are we going to live on the beach side or are we going to live somewhere. So those are all the planning everybody does, and I have also done in my life. But here Prabhupada is saying you are simply wasting your human life if you are not surrendering to the Mukunda Charanambuja, the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of the Godhead. That's my understanding, Prabhu. Back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. I'll just make a comment that you're such a nice devotee. Doing planning is absolutely fine. One must do, in fact. One's health planning, one's relationship, one's family, one's finances, one's spiritual planning, one must do. One cannot be prematurely, taking pseudo-renunciation. His Holiness Sadhanath Swami Maharaj said to His Grace Ananda Vrindavan Prabhus that it's a very heavy statement actually. So when Ananda Vrindavan Prabhu was getting married, he said, as a person you're getting married, you must plan when to, as you're entering, you also make a plan for exiting. That means time to retire. Exiting doesn't mean to leave, prematurely, but timely retirement. So planning for that, keeping Krishna as the center, and if the focus is that, then one must plan. It is a nice thing to do. One must do, because we cannot prematurely give up work. What will one do if one has no taste? But the point is, we continue nicely now, whatever our age is, 20, 30, 40, 50, and must have some vision in mind that, okay, I don't want to work till 75 years of my life. Well, we discussed that. Firstly, we don't know how many years we will have, but okay, whatever, but we must plan, okay, I want to work till 50 years only, or I want to work till 55 years, or at most, what, again, this is something based on everyone's unique situation and desires and spiritual maturity. A lot of factors are there. His Grace Anandan Prabhu gives wonderful classes on this topic of planning everything nicely, and he is a living example of that. He's, I think, around 54, 55, and he is retired from the active work environment, but spiritually he's doing so many services. So if someone is interested, I would suggest you can hear those. He gives a nice balanced approach to always keep Krishna as the center without compromising other duties, at the same time planning for an effective retirement. Retirement means that we retire from active work at the age of 50, 55, or that is one's unique situation. But then, like a marathon, that is the last lap of the marathon. The last lap of the marathon runners run fast. They may not be running fast, like if someone has like kids, 2 years, 4 years, it's very hard because their services are different. So they may not be able to be fully into like a lot of reading, hearing, chanting may not be possible, and it is fine because taking care of the kids is also a service, but it's a different service. But when the kids are grown up, to let them run their life based on the sanskaras which have already been given until 20-25 years, they have already matured, and then they will run their life, and then we choose to retire. That should be our goal. It's a nice goal to have, so that we can be completely engaged in service, and or live in a holy place, or live close to a temple. Either way, again, that is a very big topic, but there must be some plan. Coming back, Manushya janama paya Radha Krishna na bhajiya janiya shuniya vishay khainu. I have attained this human form of life, and I have not worshipped Radha and Krishna. I have knowingly drunk poison. Will anyone ever knowingly drink poison? No. But to speak of poison, they won't touch poison. But if you are not worshipping Radha and Krishna, that means if you are not using our life, the human form of life, which is very, very rare. Prahlad Maharaj said, Sudurlabham. That word, human form of life, is very, very rare, comes in multiple verses in Bhagavatam. Kamala dala jala jivana talamala. This human form of life is like a drop of water on the lotus. It will, the lotus has a thin layer, like a lamination. The water drop is very unstable there. It won't stay for a long time. Similarly, the life is unstable. It can, Durlabha manusha deha dehinam shan bhangurai. In a shana, it can be bhanga. That means destroyed. So therefore, one should not knowingly drink poison. That means from the very beginning, whatever our age is, try sincerely for Krishna consciousness. That is the real happiness. That is the real solution to all problems. And the point here, yathan der upaniyamana, andhan de yathan der upaniyamana. Don't be misguided by the blind leaders, because others will, apart from your devotee friends or spiritual community, no one will say all these things. They'll say, oh, life is meant to enjoy. Work hard, otherwise what will happen to you in the future? What will happen to this? What will happen to that? See, the expenses are increasing. This is increasing. Work more hard. Party harder. Oh, you have an old car. Why don't you get a new car? Oh, you need a new this. You need a new that. They will just keep increasing our desires. They will lead us to the blind well, deep dark well of material existence. So therefore, we don't have to hear the people who are already blind. We have to hear the spiritually enlightened people. They will guide us in the true direction. Material, so-called leaders who are themselves blind, how can a blind person guide the other blind person? So we have to take shelter of Guru Sadhu Shastra and see from their perspective. Otherwise, we will, 99% of the population we read is going in that direction. So we have to be very careful in where are we, choosing to be guided by. Any other comments or questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is Bhadra. You explained everything nicely. I have just 2 points. In the previous verse, what Prahlad Maharaj is saying is that we don't go to look for the distress. Distress automatically comes. Similarly, the happiness which is written in the life is going to come. So he's saying there is no need to work like an ass. There is no need for extra endeavor. Of course, we have to do what is necessary. But people are so engrossed in doing this extra endeavor, so working for 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours. So there is no use doing that because it's meant to come, it will come. But we have to try. In this sloka, he is saying is that Swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahatavya. In Krishna consciousness, a little bit endeavor you do, it is a permanent credit. And that's what you will carry with you in the next life. And that will be, you will start from the place where you have stopped. In this life, you will carry it from the next life, from where you have stopped, continuation, because that's your permanent credit. So he's saying that whatever efforts you will make in the material world, that's not going to last long, and you have to leave everything anyhow when you go back, or when you leave, when you die. So there is no need. But he's saying that please consider this point that continue your Krishna consciousness, awake your Krishna consciousness, and give also towards that life. So means balance your life. There's a particularly for the grihasthas, balance the life so that you are not wasting your time. Time is limited. You don't know when it's going to be end. When your life will be ending, you don't know. So please take up this. So that's why he's telling the children, his kids, his classmates, please take up this Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else would like to read the next verse, text 5? Would someone like to read, please?
I can read, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna devotees. Dandavad Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Text 5. Tato jatha kusalo shemayo bhavam asrito shoriram paurasham yavan na vidyata pushkalam. Translation purport by His Divine Grace S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. Therefore, while in material existence, bhavam asrito, a person fully competent to distinguish wrong from the right, must endeavor to achieve the highest goal of life as long as the body is stout and strong and is not embarrassed by dwindling. Purport. As stated by Prahlad Maharaj at the beginning of the chapter, Komaro Acharat Pragno. The word Pragno refers to one who is experienced and who can distinguish right from the wrong. Such a person should not waste his energy and valuable human lifetime simply by working like a cat or dog to develop his economic condition. For one word in this verse, there are two readings, Bhavam Asrito and Bhayam Asrito. But accepting the meaning of either of them will bring one to the same conclusion. Bhayamasrita indicates that the materialistic way of life is always fearful. Because of the every step there is a danger. Materialistic life is full of anxieties and fear. Similarly, accessing the reading Bhavam Asrito, the word Bhavam refers to unnecessary trouble and problems. For want of Krishna consciousness, one is put into Bhavam, being perpetually embarrassed by birth, death, old age and disease. Thus one is surely full of anxieties. The human society should be divided into a social system of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. But everyone can engage in devotional service. If one wants to live without devotional service, his status as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra certainly has no meaning. It is said, Sananda Brishat Varshat Patanti Adha. Whether one is in higher or lower division, one certainly falls down for want of Krishna consciousness. A sane man therefore is always fearful of falling from his position. This is a regulative principle. One should not fall from his exalted position. The highest goal of life can be achieved as long as one body is stout and strong. We should therefore live in such a way that we should keep ourselves always healthy and strong in mind and intelligence, so that we can distinguish the goal of life from a life full of problems. A thoughtful man must act in this way, learning to distinguish right from wrong and thus attain the goal of life. Hare Krishna. So in the previous verses, Prahlad Maharaj was pointing that as early as tender as possible to start the Krishna consciousness, because the mind is pure, not polluted. Here we see Prahlad Maharaj giving the second point to the body, because if we take at old age the Krishna consciousness, first of all we will not understand because already mind is polluted. We didn't start earlier, and now body is also weak. Even cannot stand, cannot go outside to pick flowers or cooking or dancing in the chanting or kirtan also. So once mind is pure and body remains stout and strong, we should engage ourselves in Krishna consciousness without waiting for late when disease will overcome us. And also, as soon as we take this material body, we are Bhavamasrito and Bhayamasrito. That's why actually we came from India to here for better life. We thought that we'll out of anxiety if we come here. But once we come here, we see how much anxiety we have. We have health insurance, house insurance, on the top umbrella insurance. Everything we buy, even a small toy for kids, with some insurance, if it's broken down in 2 years, 3 years. So actually, we are though we are thinking that we are enjoying, but we are actually living in fear. So every step we are thinking, and like will be in loss of property, health, everything, and we are keep doing insurance or trying to protect. Actually, what cannot be protected anyway, it will be destroyed today or tomorrow. Even we see that 200 years old king's houses, palaces are now in a dilapidated condition, but they spent millions of dollars at the time and millions of years to build those ones. And these type of like our anxiety actually coming because of the material consciousness. But as soon as we are spiritually concerned and we know that these are transient, temporary, and the Lord and our relationship is the only permanent, then these little anxieties and those things we can overcome very easily, because we know Krishna has a plan and everything will go according to the plan. I just has to keep connected with the Krishna and his devotees, and he will take care of everything. So those unnecessary trouble and problems can be easily overcome. And in human society, it doesn't matter by born I'm a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. If I'm not doing my own duty as per social divisions and our Vedic culture, all these 4 varnashram and 4 divisions of life are actually to engage ourselves and to improve ourselves in the spiritual life and devotional service. But if being a Brahmana, if I don't work as a Brahmana and I don't have a Brahman knowledge, so there is no point of calling myself as a Brahmana or Kshatriya. And in Gita, Krishna says, Chaturvarna Maya system, Guna Karma Vivakeshu, not by birth, Guna Karma. That's how you see that Prabhupada's temples in everywhere, even the Matajis who are not born in India, they are the pujaris, they become Brahman because for their guna and karma, because they are purely in Krishna consciousness and in transcendental world. And once we, by our devotional service, we achieve this place, that means devotion, transcendental service, we should keep progressing. We should not fall from this exalted position because Maya is very strong. In any moment, it can take us down. But having association with the devotees, it will protect us. And definitely the Prabhupada's books and discussions that we are doing now, that will help us to stay in our spiritual platform. Back to Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. This world is often addressed as Bhavasagar, Bhavam. The word Bhava comes in multiple verses like Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata, or Ayushman Bhava, Dirgha Ayu Bhava. Sometimes they give the blessing, Dirgha Ayu, may you have a long life. Ayushman. Saubhagyavati Bhava. You may have heard these terms. So Bhava means to happen actually. Whenever there is rise of irreligion and decline of dharma, then Krishna comes whenever it happens. So why is material world called Bhavan Bhavam or Bhavasagar? Because it is an ocean of place where every moment so many things are happening. And what are the main things? Birth, old age, disease and death, anxiety, hypertension, Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik, Adi Atmik are happening every moment. And Corona is one classic example, which is leading to Bhavan without the Bha of Bhagavan will lead to Bhai, of Bha of Bhai. So it is a choice whether we want to, in the home which we live is also called Bhavan. Bhavan without the Bha of Bhagavan is just a one which has lot of fear. So it's our choice whether we want to take the Bha of Bhagavan or whether we want to take the Bha of Bhai. That is, taking shelter of material energy will lead to Bhai, but taking shelter of Krishna will make that one as Vrindavan, where there is no Bhai. Because this one is Abhay, Abhay Charana Aravinda. So, in Bha for devotees is Bhagavan, and Bha for non-devotees is Bhai. The choice is ours. What do we want to take shelter? Do we want to be Bhaya Ashritaha or do we want to be Bhagavan Ashritaha in this material world? While in this material world, that choice the jivas have. And the better is we take the right choice in the right time. If we whole life, if we take shelter of senses and then the fag, and it will be too late. But if we practice from the very early age, then even at the old age one will be able to nicely practice. And we have so many examples, so many Prabhupada disciples who started their bhakti at very young age, gave so much of their lives completely, 20, 30, 40, 50 years in Krishna consciousness, and they're still going on. They are beyond age, like His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. So much hardships he has gone through in terms of body, but still he is inspiring thousands and thousands and tens and thousands of people all over the globe, because they are completely Bhagavan Ashritaha. So they're beyond the bodily level. So when we practice from the tender age, then our attachment will be strong, and even in the old age we may not be able to physically go to all the holy places, we may not be able to physically, but at least our attachment will be there, and that's the whole goal of life, to develop attachment towards Krishna. We can relish those memories, we can hear the lectures, we can chant the holy name. That's the best service, but that will only happen when there is attachment to Krishna. Otherwise, people have time in old age. I know so many of my acquaintances, I say, please, please chant. They will watch TV, they will do anything, but they can't chant. It's not that they don't have time. They say we have time, but we are busy and everything, but it is not possible. There's so much. 70 years if one has spent doing certain thing, they don't want to change. It's very difficult, very, very difficult. So the better idea is to take from a young age and be Bhagavan Ashritaha, and then there will be no more bhaya. Anything else before we end today's discussion? Okay, we will continue tomorrow with the next verse. Grantraj Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavahindra vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.